already called my mother today. So yay. Yay for me and yay for my mom because she apparently has had a pretty good day. So that's pretty awesome. So what are we going to do today? Well, it's the day after the Kentucky Derby, so naturally we're going to do all kinds of mint juleps. No. Um so this this is the best I could do with finding mint today, and it's in this nice bath of ice water to spruce it up, and it's not doing well. So we are certainly not going to be doing mint juleps because those need a lot of mint, and they look really their best when you've got a lot of really fresh, overflowing mint, and we don't have that. We have some sort of dry wilted mint, and we'll use some of that with some of our garnishes, but it's not going to be the focus tonight. So what is the focus of tonight? Well, today is Mother's Day, so I thought I should do some drinks related to Mother's Day. You can make any drink a Mother's Day drink. Any drink is a Mother's Day drink if your mother or somebody else's mother happens to like that particular drink. Or it has sentimental attachment, even if she doesn't like that drink. Or she has like a real problem with that drink, but it means something special to your relationship with you and your mother. Any of those things work. We're going to go off of a couple of them this evening. So, first up is a drink that was originated in the year I was born. So I think that's a pretty, so that's the year she became a mom, she became my mom. I think that's a perfect way to go there. The second is a drink I know she loves. She loves mudslides, and we're going to do two different versions of the mudslide at the same time. We're going to do the normal mudslide, and then we're going to do what I call the rumbling mudslide. And then last, we're just going to do a drink that I'm hoping she'd like. I think she would. We made it earlier today, and it was quite tasty. And I can't ship one to her because, that just won't work. But that's what we're going to do with. However, to start with, we should toast something. And, we should toast, I think, to our mothers. We should toast to those whose moms are not in their lives anymore. We should, and still continue on. We should toast to those that, for whatever reason, have needed to move on with their lives without their mothers. So I think Mother's Day, it's a good time to remember your mom and the good times with your mom. But we also have to remember that some people haven't had a particularly good relationship with their mom, and this is for them as well. So on that note, I happen to have two glasses here, and we are going to do some toasting. And I'm sorry, my mom, if you are watching, I got to do this to you. Um, so here we go. We're gonna just pour a little of this in each glass, and we're gonna toast with this. So this is
On Mother's Day.
on Mother's Day, yes.
Okay.
So it is, so the Kentucky Derby is run on Churchill Downs, right?
Right.
So this is Churchill's. So we're going to drink with Churchill's.
Okay,
So I get the Kentucky Derby in there. So as the story goes, there was an ill-fated college experience with a certain type of liqueur, and mom cannot stand the stuff. She doesn't want anything cooked in it. She doesn't want its presence anywhere in the house. So, mom, you are one of a kind. At this point, you are vintage, and we are going to drink a little port in your honor because I know you're not going to go anywhere near it. So this is safe for us to open a bottle since you're up in New York. It's okay. I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot of money on this particular bottle, but it has also been the port bottle that I have used for port cocktail. Right.
Yeah.
So cocktails that require port wine. Yeah, this is what I've been going to for a while. So it's probably also not, the freshest thing in the world. But mom, here's to you, and here's to your sense of humor, because I'm sure you appreciate the amusement of this. And then I'm going to ask my wife to rinse those out, unless you're not done with yours, are you?
No.
Well, then I can get a second glass for you.
Okay.
And we're going to go with this.
Ah.
So what is this? Well, it is traditional for us to toast with rum. So we're actually going to toast with rum. All kidding, all humor aside. But this is a particularly unique and individual bottle. This is my home infinity bottle. There are many, many different kinds of rum. As I finish a bottle or get close to the end of a bottle, traditionally I taste it, pour a little in here.
I mean, they are mostly non-Jamaican.
Right, I tend to not.
But they are standard.
Yeah, no spices.
No spice, no Jamaican, no.
There's a little Jamaican
really
in there.
Funky.
Yeah, but nothing really funky.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, many times.
So I love you, Infinity. See, Infinity bottle, and you're one of a kind. So there you go. To mothers everywhere, to those whose moms unfortunately are not in their lives or have not had a good experience with their moms, but
and for all those other moms that are
yes,
yeah,
the other people that are moms to other people,
right.
There's a lot of people out there that serve in that mom role, regardless of whether or not they have the title of mom. Here's to them. How's that? Latest addition to this was a tiny bit of Probitas, by the way, which has a little Jamaican in it. Oh, yum. Okay, so what are we going to do first? Okay, we're going to do a drink that came out the year I was born.
We have a high star.
We have high star.
Heat.
Do we have a high star? I don't think so.
High star and heat.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Greg.
Oh, hi, Greg. Howdy. What are we doing? We're doing, this drink is called the Saturn. Dun, dun, dun.
Yay!
Star likes the Saturn. It's one of her favorite gin drinks, but it is also a tiki drink, and can be found on an awful lot of tiki menus around the country. And because it is one of her tiki drinks, and it particularly doesn't use rum in it, I thought it'd be a good one. Also, there's just not that many drinks from the year I was born, so at least in the tiki pantheon. And so we're going to do that right now. This is a blended drink. We are actually going to run the gamut this evening. We're going to do a shaken drink, we're going to do a spindle blended drink, and we are going to use the actual blender itself. Yes, I will use one of these. So first, this guy, spindle blender. What are we going to do? We need a 1/4 ounce of falernum. We're going to go with John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. At some point, I'm going to get some time where I feel that I have time to just play around in the kitchen, and I feel like doing it, and I'm going to make some of my own falernum. I need to make another batch of orgeat because that's all gone away. So there's a few other things that I need to restock my syrups on. Not grenadine. I have a ton of grenadine. I don't need any more grenadine. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to do a 1/4 ounce of falernum.
John and Elizabeth.
Yay! Good to see you again, Elizabeth. The game of Lacoon that we played last night was just utterly epic. So much fun. Next up is a 1/4 ounce of orgeat. I just said I'm out of orgeat. I'm out of homemade orgeat. What I have here is, it's not a substitute for, but if you're looking for some orgeat, Liquid Alchemist makes some. It's all right. B.G. Reynolds makes some. A variety of other people make some. I think Lieber & Co. actually makes some as well.
Yeah.
This is not the same consistency as the orgeat that I make at home, and I do not like this as well. But making the homemade orgeat takes some time and inclination, and I just haven't. And it's also a bottle I haven't opened since, well, last time I took it traveling. Small Hands makes a very good one. All right, so we're going to go 1/4 ounce. You can tell that this is a little light as opposed to the normal orgeat. And because of that, I'm going to reach over to my bottle of thickener. And you may remember that there's just a little xanthan gum and water in here. That's all there is. I'm going to go 1/4 ounce there just to get this the mouthfeel that I want. Otherwise, it'll be just a little too thin.
Hey, Cam. Happy Mother's Day.
Hi, Cam. Unfortunately, Chris and David will not be joining us this evening. They informed me that they did not pay for the Wi-Fi access on the cruise line and therefore aren't going to be able to tune in and view live, but they will catch us later. So shout out to David and Chris.
Costa Rica.
They're in Costa Rica, so with the little violin.
Having just gone
through the Panama Canal. Yeah. So we are going to do a 1/2 ounce of passion fruit syrup. So this is a concentrated passion fruit juice that I've mixed 2 to 1 with a simple syrup, and thus giving me a passion fruit syrup, of which I am also almost out. So there we go. Now, if you really wanted to kick this drink up, you could replace the passion fruit syrup with, say, Passola, and that would give you a little more alcohol in this drink. Not that this needs it. 1/2 ounce lemon juice, fresh squeezed, of course. Uh-oh, here comes Star. What did I do wrong?
I just finished this, and there's sediment, so I want to rinse out
sediment. Yeah, the port has sediment in it. Also not a good sign. I mean, port usually has some sediment in it, but I'm not a big fan of drinking it. Last up, we need 1 1/4 ounces. That's all the alcohol that's in here. It's 1 1/4 ounces of a dry gin. So what are we going to do for a dry gin? We're going to go with one of Star's favorite gins. And we know the beverage rep for Sipsmith in the area. And it's just a really good gin.
Yeah, we met her and Natasha at the same time.
Yeah, we met them at a gin tasting and rum tasting at SNR. And we walked away with some friends at Sipsmith, some friends in the gin world, and a very expensive bottle of Samaroli rum. All right, so there's the Sipsmith. In case you were wondering, that was 3/4 and a 1/2 ounce. So we now have 1 1/4 ounce of dry gin in here. What else are we going to do? We're going to go 8 ounces of crushed ice. Crushed ice. Right there. There you go. All done. Happy. And then this goes on the spindle blender. And you can do this in a blender, and some people do. So I'm going to actually give this a little longer. I'm not going to do a flash blend. I'm going to go like 10-15 seconds here. There we go.
Keith says greetings.
Pilsner glass. Hi, Keith. Keith just did a tequila tasting. He had been wanting to do that for a while. He had done a tequila tasting at home some time back and was looking forward to doing another one. And I believe his favorite wound up being the Herradura Añejo, which is great because I'm a big fan of that tequila. He also tasted a mezcal and some other things as well. All right, so there I've got a nice little garnish. So this is a light up star garnish, and I'm just going to pour this straight in, like such. Getting a little close, so I'm going to grab a strainer. Pull out all that ice. There we go. And then we're just going to stick this nice pick in here, which it's just got a curly Q done with lemon peel and Luxardo cherries. And I'm just going to stick that right in here, because I know Star will be okay with that. And then we need a straw. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, do I want to do that straw? Sure, that'll work. Stick a nice big Surfside Sip straw right in there. Now, I feel obligated to point out that we are doing the Saturn cocktail. And the latest thing that I have seen from Surfside Sips is them doing straws with a Saturn on them. Right? It's a little round globe with a ring around it. Yeah, that's got to be just way, way cool. And yeah, I'm probably going to have to break down and buy one. So you too can buy your Surfside Sip straws from Surfside Sips using the promo code Lovecraft. That's Lovecraft. And for every whatever purchase you make, we get some tiny fraction back that is going to defray the cost of the Saturn straw or straws that we buy. We did the same thing with the float straw here, which I really love the float straw. Apparently, others of you saw their straws or saw us with Surfside Sip straws, and we ended up having a little bit of a discount on that straw, and that was pretty awesome. Okay, so here we have a Saturn. It's one of Star's favorite drinks, and she is mom to more people than I can count. And here we go. This is a drink from the year I was born. I'm going to remove that. One of the problems with Luxardo cherries is everything sticks to them, including people with long hair like mine. Yeah, so what we're going to take a sip.
Because you know you're not getting a second sip of that one.
Oh, I don't know. That one's terrible.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's awful.
Oh, we have a Dizzy Diva pick.
Yes, there's the great big Dizzy Diva toucan pick in there as well. Yep, I'm not seeing that anymore. There you go. Go away with you. Away with.
I was gonna show off the pick and do a close up here.
Ah, there you go.
Your pick and your garnish.
My pick. I'd be picking. I really like the idea of the infinity bottle. I can only go by taste to know what the proof is of this. This is certainly higher proof than 40 or 42%, but I can't really tell how much. It's a little stronger, a little more burn. I like to use it with cocktails, but I don't fill this guy up very often, and I don't want to drain it too much. But man, that was tasty. And as long as there's a little bit of the Saturn left, I'm going to go ahead and pour that right in here. So there we go. There's the Saturn cocktail from the year I was born, from the year my mom became a mom. So here's to you, Mom. Now, I don't have all that many recollections of drinking with my mother, but there are a few. There is the time after my father's funeral where we got absolutely hammered, and I think we got hammered on hard cider, which was just kind of frightening and scary. We have on more than one occasion knocked back a few Long Island iced teas from the Graduate in Stockton, and she really loves the Mudslide cocktail. Okay, so often, especially when I was much younger and before we got into this sort of craft cocktailing thing, a Mudslide to me meant you pour some of the Mudslide mix into a glass with some vodka and some ice, and away you go. Things are a little different these days, and yes, the traditional Mudslide is a vodka cocktail, and we are going to do that this evening. We are actually going to use vodka. This is the second week in a row that I'm using vodka. Can you tell I'm trying to use up the vodka that I have on hand? Now, I do have a cake flavored vodka. Don't ask. Don't ask. I'm not going to use the cake flavored vodka. I want to give this a real try of putting the standard Mudslide up against my variation, which is the rumbling Mudslide. And that rumbling is spelled with capital R-U-M, lowercase, bling, rumbling, Mudslide. There you go. So we're going to do two of these, and they are shaken cocktails. So I'm going to need 2 shaker tins or 2 shaker plastics, as David is always want to remind me that these are not tins, they are plastics. Okay, fine. We need 1.5 ounces of heavy cream in each of those. And I just happen to have picked up some heavy cream today on the way back from seeing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Quite fun, quite fun. Yeah, if you're a Doctor Strange fan from way back, then this will probably remind you of some of those old-time Doctor Strange comics. It's got the weird art and jumping through different dimensions, and I can't believe he just did blah, right? That sort of thing. Yep. It was a lot of fun. It really felt like a comic book on big screen. And that's always great. Okay, so there we go. There's 1.5 ounces of heavy cream in each of these. Now, left-hand side, this is going to be the traditional mudslide. This will be the rumbling mudslide. So, what goes in next? Next is Bailey's in the traditional, and that is a full ounce of Bailey's. Fine, I'm going to have to clean this mat anyway. Full ounce Bailey's Irish Cream. There we go. However, we're not going to use Bailey's in ours. We're going to use, dun dun dun, another cream liqueur which you've seen us use before, Amarula. Yes, different flavor profile, same creamy goodness. It's got some little hints of citrus and caramel in it. It's very different from Bailey's, but much the same texture, much the same visual appeal, and some hints of the same flavors. So I think it'll go just fine. Next up, the traditional cocktail requires Kahlua. Okay, how much Kahlua? 1 ounce of Kahlua. Fine, we are going to go with a full ounce standard Kahlua. And then, what are we going to do for our rumbling mudslide? What do you think, huh? Y'all been paying attention to this show?
Rum?
No, for the Kahlua substitution, we're not using rum.
Oh.
We're using Mr. Black.
Got it. Sorry about that.
So in goes the Mr. Black instead of the Kahlua, which should make this a less sweet drink as well. Next up, this is where Star comes in. For the traditional, we're going to use American vodka from Kirkland. But for the rumbling mudslide, what are we going to use, Star?
Rum.
Rum, you are right. There we go.
If I give the same answer all the time, sometimes I'm right.
Sometimes you're right. Yep. And what are we going to do for rum? I love my mother. My mom's really cute when she gets intoxicated, so we're going to go with an overproof blended rum. We're going to go with the Plantation OFTD. Original, old-fashioned traditional dark is OFTD's official name. OF That's Good is its unofficial name. So we're going to go with that for our rumbling mudslide. Well, there we go. There's our 2 cocktails. Very much the milkshakey kind of approach to cocktailing. Okay, we're going to add same amount of ice to each of these and shake them up and pour them into a coupe. That's what I'm thinking for. Thinking of. Yes, so we're going to go with a full scoop. Okay, just like that. I'm going to shake this and then put it in the coupe. $20 count to me, and we're going to want to strain this. That goes there. I had a coupe. Where'd it go? Oh no, my coupe went away. All right, fine. Turns out I happen to have more than one coupe. Who would have thought? One coupe. Coupe glass. In that goes. There's our little milkshakey. And the garnish for that is, anyone know? Shaved chocolate. So we're just going to go like this. I'm just going to shave some chocolate over the top of that mudslide, just like that. There we go. Miss Star?
Yes?
Would you like to taste this here mudslide while I do the honors on the second?
Show up.
There, looks like about the same amount of ice. Close that. Yum yums? Think Mom would like that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Finger looking good, huh?
Oh, it's terrible. All right, here we go.
It's a little darker.
Yep. Right, go over here. Grab our little chocolate. Same thing. Got the right amount of chocolate, you think?
No.
No. About the same amount
Yes.
of chocolate? Okay,
yes.
sorry. You want to taste that one now, and I will taste the original, and we will see what we will see. It's Mudslide.
It's a little unbalanced.
Whoa! Oh no. Is it too coffee?
I think so.
Because I thought about maybe cutting back the Mr. Black, because it tends to be pretty coffee. Pretty coffee? I can cut the Mr. Black back a little bit, but that's a yummy cocktail.
It is, but I think it'd be even better with
a little less Mr. Black.
Mr. Black. So I'll take the original.
I actually like mine instead, so we're going to go with that. There we go. The other thing you can do, I tend to think of figs as going with mudslides for some reason. I have no idea why. So I'm just going to drop a fig in there. That's actually a slice of fig. I have no idea why I make that connection, but I do. Oh, that's good. And the chocolate really comes through more on this one than it did on the other. I don't know why. No clue. But here we go. I mean, I could easily pull back the Mr. Black just a tad on here. I think that would be fantastic. But not bad for not having made that cocktail before. That being a Pooch original and just doing a riff off of the what was it? Mudslide. Yeah, that. Wow. The brain is not functioning at all. We're also whipping through this remarkably quickly this evening. I don't know what's up with that because we're down to one drink. I should drink more, talk less. I don't know, mix more drinks, something. Should I do it?
Elizabeth says more coffee, more better.
I don't know.
I think you should try that one again, but with cutting back the Mr. Coffee.
The Mr. Coffee. Okay. Here we go. Give this another shot. 1.5. But my wife is going to have to go to the back for me because I don't have 1.5 ounces of heavy cream out here anymore. I have. Oh, maybe I do. There's one. And oh, I think I'm going to be able to. Yes! That is 1.5 ounces on the nose. Wow. Speaking of noses, anybody know who this is?
I'll give you a clue.
We are mom to this one.
There's a white tip on the tail.
There's a white tip on the tail.
That means it's Miss Dorley.
It's my little princess.
Yes.
I'm so totally protective of this kitty. I don't know why. All right, next up, 1 ounce. We're going to go with 1 ounce of Amarula for this. Do that. 1 ounce Amarula. And then I'm going to go way back on the Mr. Black. Instead of going a full ounce of Mr. Black, I'm going to cut that in half and go a 1/2 ounce of Mr. Black. Its coffee flavor is significantly more pronounced than Kahlua. And Star's right. I mean, it does take over a little bit. Although I have to say, as that drink sat just a moment or two, it integrated pretty darn well. And then we come back and we do an ounce of the overproof rum. Still think the OFTD is a really good choice for this. The flavors that we're putting in here are pretty strong, and in the case of the original Mudslide, the idea with the vodka is just to give it an alcoholic kick and let all of the other flavors play through. The trick with the rum is you want to make sure that the flavors of the rum play well with everything else and don't take over. So there we go. Now I need to make sure that I have enough ice. Okay, well, I'm not sure I have enough ice cubes here, but that's okay. I think that's okay. All right, do that. And then I'm just gonna sneak in a little bit of crushed ice there. Cheating a little bit. I really wanted to cheat, I'd throw a little bit of allspice dram in there, and that would be really awesome. But nope, not going to do that. Okay, that goes away. We're using the original one, the original top. There we go. And shaky, shaky. Drip, 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 drip. Bing! Into the sink it goes. Reach down here, find another coop. Coop! And in this goes. There we go. You could, I suppose, if you want to double strain this as well. There are some ice chips sitting on top of this. I don't think that matters much, and they're going to melt pretty darn quickly. You could also do this with a stencil. If you had a little stencil that said, say, Mom on it, you could do that. Or a heart or something along those lines. That'd be very cute. There we go. And now, dun dun dun, we're going to try second shot at the rumbling mudslide.
Ruth, greetings.
Greetings, Ruth. Just in time for the rumbling mudslide.
Take two.
Maybe 3/4? Original rumbling mudslide. New one.
Interesting.
I like this one better.
Yeah.
I like this one better out of all three. I think this one needed time to sit.
No, there's still a little too much coffee, Mr. Black, in that one for me. But more than this one.
But she also likes her coffee sweetened.
I do.
I don't. I like a little cream in my coffee. So I think the amount of Mr. Black that goes into your coffee, that goes into your cocktail, is going to be determined by how sweet you like your coffee. And if you like sweet coffee, then going with the Kahlua is probably a really good option for you. If you like black coffee, then I would go with the Mr. Black.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
You can also do the mudslide as a blended drink with a bunch of ice and make it essentially into a milkshake, which I think is a fine idea. I mean, that's what most of the packages ask you to do. Not the packages, the premixes, that's what I'm thinking. It's also a pretty heavy drink. This is definitely not heavy in terms of alcohol or booze. It's heavy in terms of the heavy cream that's in it. It's very much a dessert cocktail, which makes this a really poor choice of directions to go for us, because our last drink is nothing like a dessert cocktail. It's very much sitting on the lanai with the sun beating down, or in a deck chair somewhere on board a cruise, sipping away at a cocktail. Light, refreshing, icy, cold, and this is some of those things, but it's just a different flavor profile. So I'm not sure how well this is going to go over with the last drink, but we're going to give it a try. Okay, so we're done. We're done. All of these go in here. I'm also not going to use the same jigger because it's got cream and cream liqueurs and that sort of thing in it, and that just isn't going to go over well. There is an art to putting together an order of cocktails, and I think this one is not the right order. I think maybe the Saturn and then the Guava Rose and then the Rumbling Mudslide would be a better choice, but we'll see. Maybe the Guava Rose will just clean everything out and be just bright and airy and yummy. It's a frozen drink though, so I don't know. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take our blender. Dun dun dun. The original drink calls for 1.5 ounces of rose syrup. So what the heck is rose syrup? Is this a simple syrup where you just throw a bunch of roses in it and let them steep? Well, I suppose you could do that, but that would be weird. So we're not going to do that. What we did was the way they recommend doing that is to do essentially a 2-to-1 sugar to water mix, where half of your water mix is actually rose water. So I don't have my rose water with me; it's upstairs. But you can get orange blossom water, rose water, that sort of thing at most of your international markets or even your better grocery stores.
Keith likes his regular coffee black, but he also likes lattes.
So Keith likes his coffee regularly black, but he also likes lattes, which still doesn't tell you anything about how sweet he likes his coffee. This is a question of whether you put sugar in the coffee or not. And I think that's more the critical factor here on the Mudslide. Then again, the Mudslide is supposed to be a dessert drink. It's supposed to be sweet. And if you're drinking them late at night, maybe you don't want all that Mr. Black. Or maybe you do. You want to stay up and have more of them. I don't know. Not sure how that works. Yeah. Anyway, so what we did is we took a quarter cup, right? Wow, brain. Okay. We took a quarter cup of water and a quarter cup of rose water, and we mixed that with 1 cup of sugar and dissolved the sugar in it. And that got us this stuff here, which looks pretty darn clear. It's a little yellow, but otherwise it looks pretty darn clear. And this is just your rose syrup. And this is a 2-to-1 syrup. This thing should last you quite a while. It should be shelf stable. We made this cocktail earlier today, and Star's opinion was even at the 2-to-1 sugar, actually in that case it's like 4-to-1 to the rose water. The rose is pretty prevalent here. So we are actually going to cut this back from the recommended 1.5 ounces of rose syrup to just 1 ounce of the rose syrup. Rose water is a pretty potent stuff, and it does certainly come through in this particular cocktail. At 1.5 ounces, I think it's a little heavy. And while my mom likes roses, she's not that into roses, so we can do that. So there's 1 ounce of the rose syrup. Next up, the drink is called the Guava Rose. So the next thing in is guava, and we happen to have some guava concentrate here. It is essentially just guava. There's some water added to it, and there's some thickening agents added to it. But other than that, it's pretty much straight up guava.
JC says, speaking of sweet,
we're gonna go 3/4 ounce guava. You could also use 3/4 ounce guava puree. But there you go. So JC, yes, JC's in.
Pooch has me drinking double rye whiskey.
Ooh, good choice, buddy. Chiming in and drinking double rye whiskey straight, or
it's JC, probably.
Probably, yep. Next up, we need to tart this guy up a bit. So we're going to go with 3/4 ounce of lime juice. There we go. 3/4 ounce lime juice. JC, have you tuned in before, or is this the first time tuning in with us? I can't remember. All right, that goes. I need a piece of chocolate. Next. Hey, the show is called Quarantiki. We're Lovecraft Cocktails. We make tiki drinks. So what do you think the spirit is that's going to go in here? You're right. Every time I ask a question like that, it's a trick question because everybody wants to say, well, of course, rum, duh. But the only reason I ask that question is because we're going off the rum beaten track. But not too far. We are going with Kasasha. And Kasasha is, in fact, in the United States, considered a rum. Because the United States conditions on what constitutes rum is essentially that it has to be made from sugarcane products and nothing else. And as a consequence, Kasasha works. It's made from sugarcane juice in much the way that the French rum agricoles are made. And there's some minor differences on, well, I mean, it's just a different AOC as far as what constitutes Kasasha and what constitutes agricole rum. But you can think of this, although don't say it to a Brazilian, because the national drink of Brazil, don't say it to a Brazilian, but you can think of this as essentially a rum that is made with sugarcane juice. We're going to go 2 full ounces of Kasasha.
So JC has stalked in the shadows.
Stalked in the shadow. Oh, so he's been lurking on the site on watching me make cocktails. Excellent.
And Keith is sipping Jose Cuervo Resposado.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody what they can or cannot drink. But man, if you still got that bottle of Herradura sitting around, what you doing drinking the Cuervo, buddy? Just giving you shit. All right, that's it. That's what goes in here aside from some ice. So we're going to take a great big scoop of ice and put this in here, and then we're going to blend it until it's smooth. And they say that should be about 30 seconds worth of blending time. That's a lot. There's a full scoop in there. I'm going to go scoop and a half. Or not so much a scoop and a half, but you know what I mean. Scoop plus a little. That didn't seem right. It seemed a little light to me. We should put the lid on this, otherwise you're going to see a very amusing sight here. So that goes there. And then we're going to turn this on. I'm just going to go on low, but I am going to do it for about 30 seconds or so. Do that. While that's going, we'll just put this up here. Uh-oh. I lost track of how much time this is going in. Well, that's pretty darn smooth. All right. Doesn't smell nearly as rosy, so that's a good thing. I mean, not that it isn't supposed to smell rosy, you just don't want it to smell rosy. Okay, I am going to add a little mint to this, but I'm also going to add a couple of these pretty little leaf things. They're a mesh. They're not actually edible, but they are very pretty. And so I'm going to just tick one in there. Pour some of this in. Right. Now that that's stuck, I'm going to reach another one in here, like such. Because the canonical garnish for this is a rose petal. I ain't got no rose petals, so we're not going to do that. These are very wispy, a little hard to see, but hopefully they'll be pretty enough. There we go, sticking out there like that. Pour that in. I'm going to take some mint out, put some mint in that, such as this poor mint is. Wow. I'm hoping the mint actually cuts the rose flavor a little bit as well. It's not that I don't like the rose flavor, it was a little overpowering. Smack, great. Smacked the mint and belched at the same time. Not my finest hour here. All right, so we're going to stick the mint in there. Which smells less like mint and more like grass, which is, you know, that's totally bad mint there. And then we're going to go ahead and take a straw and stick that in there. I think we can just go with one of these. So this is a clear glass straw. Snake that in there. Now, I know what this tasted like earlier, so I'm just going to give this a taste and see if we improved it at all. I think we did. I think we're on. So there we go. This is the Guava Rose. You can do this also in a coupe and just lay the single rose petal in the middle of the glass. It's very elegant looking. I didn't have that option. We do have the case where, once again, you get the guava, you get the kasashig, you get the lime, that all works together. And then at the end, there's this lingering rose scent and flavor to it, which, if you happen to dislike, say, rose scented soap, this would not be the cocktail for you. But come on, everybody's mom seems to like rose scented soaps, so we're going to go with this. Mom, I hope this is something that you would enjoy. Star is going to come over here and take a sip of this. She's had the original one, like all of it. I had a couple of sips.
You did.
But yeah, so we're going to see if we improved this at all. I don't think you're going to get much improvement switching out the spirit. If you were to go something like
That is an improvement
rye
over the first one.
or a rum or something like that, I don't know that that would be an improvement. There might be too much mint in that. I don't know.
Well, the straw is jammed.
Oh. There we go. Straw being jammed with ice crystals means I could have let it blend a little longer.
Much better.
Much better. There we go.
It's not overly powering rose.
But it is. You do get guava.
Yeah, you do get guava.
And you get the
get
lime.
rose. And
Yep.
you get,
And it all runs together.
Yeah.
And, you know, I looked at it and I said, I think my mom would like
I
that.
think she would.
And I put it together and I took a couple of sips and I went, yep, I think I'm right.
Yeah.
And then, but it needs a little tweaking. And I think this is pretty much
Yeah.
the right tweak to it. The other thing you could do with this is you could maybe add a little bitters to it. Maybe like a little orange bitters or something like that.
Okay.
And add a little more citrus component to that.
Mm-hmm.
I could even see upping the lime juice just a tad. Make this a little more tart. But I think it would be plenty tart if you were actually using the guava puree.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not. Don't know. There you go. We've been at this for 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this episode's coming in short.
Do we have anything new?
Well, you framed the caricatures, but
I did.
But that's about it.
We've already seen the caricatures.
Right. I tried to hang one of the caricatures there, but the nail thing, the hanger nail thing, whatever that is.
The hanger is not appropriate.
Is not appropriate to them. So
we'll have to put them.
which caused things to fall.
Right.
And
there was cutsing and
Rah, 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 rah. Yep. It was short-lived though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
So I don't know that we have much else to say. I mean,
No, it was a pretty straightforward week.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that we've posted. You know, there's a new album being worked on by Graham, the guy that does all the
the Lovecraft
stuff,
yeah.
Music.
You found out about a new tiki bar in DC.
Yeah, oddly enough,
that we didn't know.
Apparently, a new tiki bar opened up in like January, like Tiny Tiki DC or something like that, and we haven't been there, so
because we didn't know about it.
Because obviously we're going to have to try and check that out.
Oh, and Nancy sent us.
They're in walking distance from Archipelago, so
yeah.
If they're terrible, we know where we can go, right?
Yeah. And Nancy sent us info. Appleton has released a 17-year.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I saw that on. I saw that in another place as well. So Appleton supposedly has the original notes on making the Ray and Nephew 17-year-old, and they are releasing this rum as their nod to that, to the Ray and Nephew 17. You might know from past episodes devoted to the Mai Tai that the Ray and Nephew 17 year was what was in the original Mai Tai, and folks have been chasing that flavor profile ever since, because the Mai Tai became so popular that it drank the world out of Ray and Nephew 17. Yeah. Literally, there wasn't any left.
Yeah.
Okay, there's like 3-4 bottles left in the world of that.
And they're Unattainable.
thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
like
they're
tens of
made of
thousands.
unattainium.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at least a couple of people have bought bottles for the sole purpose of doing experiments to try and get the flavor profile right on them, which, more power to them. I guess they got the money to do that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But the other way of going about that is if you have the actual notes on how the Ray and Nephew 17 was originally built, which supposedly Appleton does, Appleton is making their hand at it. Now, they make no claim that this is like the Ray and Nephew 17, that this will make your Mai Tai more authentic or anything else like that. But very limited release. I think they said, what, 1,500 bottles, something like that. So very, very tiny releases. You would suspect from an alcohol that had been aged 17 years in the tropics. So it may be coming out soon. So this is not actually the announcement of its release. It was the announcement of the TTB um, approving the label for it. So you may or may not know, as you release new liquors or new spirits, new bottles of those, that the label has to be approved by the TTB to make sure that it's authentic and appropriate to U.S. standards for what's in that particular bottle. So they're the ones that check when you put bottled in bond on your bottle, whether or not that is in fact a true statement and those sorts of things. And so they just approved, somebody found that they approved this, and then Matt Petrick put a little article or note on it, and then linked a couple of his articles about the Ray and Nephew 17 and its importance to tiki culture. So yes, we're looking forward to maybe, maybe finding one of those 1,500 bottles. That's also I think the 1,500 is the release to the United States. I think that's what the article said was the plan. So we don't know whether or not there's going to be a more wide release around the rest of the world. But in any case, there's going to be a 17-year-old Appleton Estate rum being released under the moniker of Ray and Nephew, and that's going to be kind of cool and interesting. And even if we can't get a bottle, hopefully someday we'll get a taste, and maybe even a taste of a Mai Tai made with that. So tonight we have done a Saturn. We have done 2 different mudslides. Actually, we did 3 different mudslides.
Yeah.
We did the new drink, the Guava Rose, and this, by the way, comes to us from liquor.com, not liqueur.com. That's where I found a nifty article on like 15 or 16 different drinks for Mother's Day that aren't mimosas, and some of them were like palomas and that sort of thing. Which it's like I said at the beginning, any drink can be a drink for Mother's Day, provided it's something that your mom likes. Give her what she likes. So I think she'd like this. I think she'd like that. I know she likes Saturns, and I know she likes traditional mudslides. So I think we're all of a success today, with the possible exception of the joke at her expense of drinking a little port to start the day with. But not the day, sorry, the broadcast with. We did not start the day by drinking port. I can't even say it's been a lazy day. Well, no. But we did not start the day by drinking port. And we're going to end the day by drinking guava roses. So, to all, hopefully you've had a happy Mother's Day. It's been a good weekend for you. May you have put lots and lots of money on Rich Strike for the Kentucky Derby, who came in at some astronomically just massive odds to win the Kentucky Derby, considering I think as of Friday he wasn't even entered. So yeah, pretty amazing. If you haven't seen the Kentucky Derby this year, it's pretty phenomenal what that horse
80
did.
to 1.
Yeah, it was 80 to 1 odds at the beginning of the race. Yeah, so that's really freaking impressive. Anyway, we should call it quits. Star and Pooch, Lovecraft Cocktails, making some daggone cocktails? No, daggone good cocktails for you. I'm going to drink a little bit more of this rumbling mudslide. Happy Mother's Day, y'all. Enjoy your week, and we will talk to you next week here at Lovecraft Cocktails when we bring to you episode 108 of Quarantiki. And someday, maybe, we won't have to call it Quarantiki anymore. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.